Welcome back inside Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Patriots expert columnist for wtih.com, Christopher Price. Chris, it's like we were just inside this building, 48 hours ago. Patriots improved to 10-0. They beat the Buffalo Bills 20-13, but now it's on to the game that, let's face it, I think not only we in the media have been looking forward to all season long, the fans have been looking forward to all season long, but the entire football world has been really has had circled on its calendar. The showdown with the Denver Broncos out in Denver, but what we didn't anticipate when this season started was Tom Brady against Brock Osweiler, number 1, instead of Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, number 17. It is what it is, so the Patriots have to get ready for a 6'7" quarterback on Sunday night in Denver who beat the Chicago Bears.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see how the Patriots decide to approach this game, because we've talked about before we came on here, Osweiler's a bit of an X factor. You really don't have a lot of professional film on him. You can go back and you can look at some of the preseason stuff. You can look at what he did against the Bears and try and pick out a few tendencies here and there. But at the same time, I think one of the things the Patriots are going to do, I asked Devin McCourty this question in the locker room a few minutes ago, Patriots are going to do is they're going to go back and look at a lot of old Gary Kubiak film. Gary Kubiak from the Ravens a couple of years ago. Gary Kubiak, what he's done since he's taken over in Denver. Look for some of those tendencies. Look for some of the things that they like to do, and that should give you some sort of idea as to what they might be in for on Sunday night.
What I really liked asking Bill Belichick on Wednesday here at Gillette Stadium was not what he was going to have for Thanksgiving dinner, but rather a football wonky, as you like to say, type of question, and that is the zone blocking scheme of these Denver Broncos. And I asked him, is this the same Denver zone blocking scheme that we saw in the 90s? And he said, it's Gary Kubiak, right? You better believe it. It's going to be the same zone blocking scheme, and you better get to the outside, because this is a team that will stretch you defensively, sideline to sideline. If you don't get there, you're going to have a very long night, as Bill Belichick said.
You can look at some of the things that every franchise does through the years, and you can find some common threads. Pittsburgh loves the zone blitz with Dick LeBeau. Pittsburgh kind of is what it is. Yeah, and when you look at Denver, Denver has run the zone blocking system for a long, long time, and it's something that's been very successful for them. Depending on one cut and go for the running backs, it's a bit of a specific skill set for a running back to run behind a zone blocking scheme, and it can be difficult for a team to kind of wrap its head around a little bit. But I think the Patriots, having seen this before with other Gary Kubiak-led offenses, I think they're prepared for this. But again, it's a different kind of preparation when you go against a team that runs a zone blocking scheme as opposed to a team that runs more of a traditional man-on-man blocking scheme.
What should we expect from Brock Osweiler? I mean, that's the big X factor, as you said. Is he going to look for downfield receivers like Demaryius Thomas?
What you're going to see out of Brock Osweiler is going to be closer to what some other Gary Kubiak teams have done as opposed to what the Broncos really did for the better part of the first 10 games of the 2015 season. There's lots of stretches, there's lots of bootlegs, there's some waggles in there, as opposed to Peyton, who was more of a traditional drop back look for the open receiver passer. I think what they want to do, they want to get him on the run a little bit. They want to run some of that zone blocking stuff, but at the same time, they want to move Osweiler in the pocket, and he's going to present some sort of challenges when you're talking about keeping a guy contained. It's not like last week with Tyrod Taylor, not to that extent, but they're going to try and get him on the move a lot. They're going to try and have him throw from outside the pocket. They're going to try and come at the Patriots from a number of different angles. So it's just a few things you have to remember. You're talking about the Broncos on Sunday as opposed to a large part of what the Broncos did over the course of the first 9 games or so of the season.
The other thing that Belichick mentioned here on Wednesday is don't expect this team to dink and dunk just because it's a quarterback getting his second NFL start. He will take their shots down the field. Let's go to the other side of the ball. Tom Brady, and it's always dangerous to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. His body language on Wednesday, very, very serious. He knows what he's up against in this number 1 ranked NFL defense in the Denver Broncos. It's not just Aqib Talib, it's Von Miller, maybe it's DeMarcus Ware if Ware comes back from his 2-game hiatus due to a back problem. But this is the most talented and the most aggressive defense. I think that combination that he'll see all year.
I think this is the best defense that the Patriots will face this year. I'm looking forward to. I think the Jets proved to be a challenge playing here earlier in the year, but I think when you look at what Denver brings to the table combined with the fact that the Patriots are going to be shorthanded offensively. They're not going to have their full complement of guys, whether or not Danny Amendola is going to play, whether or not Aaron Dobson is going to play, whether or not we know that Julian Edelman is not going to play as well. So I think the combination there is going to be a real challenge for Brady. I think one of the reasons, and we saw this from Bill too, Bill, who's been pretty expansive over the course of most of the 2015 season, Bill was also fairly quiet and fairly reserved. So I think that the challenge, combined with the fact that it's a short week, not only you're playing on Sunday, you're playing on Monday night, you're also playing, trying to turn around and playing on the road the following Sunday. It's a short week. You also have the holiday mixed in there as well.
And traveling cross country.
Exactly. Time is at a premium here. And I think that there's some days where, quite frankly, they don't want to spend 30 minutes in there talking with jamokes like us. I wouldn't want to talk with it, if you're on a short week. So I think that figures into it. I think that's part of it as well. So it's a big challenge for this Patriots team this week. Tom Brady, particularly when you're talking about a New England passing game that struggled without Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Aaron Dobson. Look, struggled I know is a relative term, but I think the level of success that they've had around here over the last dozen or so years suggests to me that they're looking to raise their game a little bit. And again, they have a big challenge this weekend in the Broncos.
Their offensive line has to step up. I mean, it was really, I thought, a very up and down, hit and miss type of effort from the offensive line. Belichick noted that in his Tuesday conference call with us. But the David Andrews factor I find interesting. You made a great point, I thought, to Ryan Hannibal inside about maybe this is David Andrews hitting that rookie wall. He is a rookie undrafted free agent, had played every snap of the first 9 games, started against Buffalo, making it 10 for 10 in terms of starts. But maybe he's hit a rookie wall.
I think there's something to that. I think that when you look at what he's been able to do over the course of the first 9+ games, look, no one else on the entire offense, including Tom Brady, played as many snaps as David Andrews did over the first 9+ games. And so I think you take that into account. You take into account the fact that he's a rookie. He's a little bit undersized, not tremendously undersized, but he's undersized for the position. Belichick has always favored slightly undersized centers. And then at the same time, again, the rookie wall. This guy's played a lot of snaps in his first year in the pros, and you have a guy in Brian Stork in back of him who, to my mind, was the best rookie on this team last year. So if you have to go to the bullpen for a guy, at least you're going to a guy like Stork.
All right. The defensive side of the ball, I think they're playing as well as they have pretty much all season long. They made a couple of big plays in the red area. I wrote about this on wtih.com. Devin McCourty and Patrick Chung came up big, saved them anywhere between, how you want to break it down, 8 to 11 points in that first half. And that turned out to be the difference in the game, frankly. But again, it appears, according to Tom Curran of CSNNE.com, that they're not going to have the services of Jamie Collins again.
Yeah, and you're going to have to, I don't want to say adjust, make it up on the fly, whatever phraseology you want to use here, but you're going to have to rely on some of those backups. You're going to have to get more snaps as they did against Buffalo. You're going to have to get more snaps from guys like Gerard Mayer. You're going to have to get, a full game. 100%, not to say that he doesn't come out with 100% every week, but you're going to need to get a full, 100% out of Dante Hightower. You're going to need to get more guys. It's not as dramatic as it is on the offensive side of the ball, where guys need to collectively raise their game to make up for the losses of guys like Edelman and Lewis and Amendola. But I think it's in that same conversation. You're going to need to get guys stepping up. Look, to your point, this defense has been as expected over the course of the first 10 games. They've played as well as anyone could have expected them to play. I think now, with Collins being out for another week, you're going to need to get some contributions from other guys who maybe necessarily haven't had a chance to contribute at the level that they'd like to over the course of the first 10 games.
All right, what happens Sunday night?
This is a tough game. I think that one way or another, and I'm going to kind of hold my pick in reserve, I think, right now. You're going to have to tune in to NFL Sunday for that with me and Greg Dickerson.
Oh, and I will.
There you go. But I think this is going to be a close game. I do. You look at both these teams, and the matchups that favor both sides, you look at it and you say, well, they got a good matchup there. Right. Like the Denver defense is catching the Patriots offense at a good time. But then the flip side is the Patriots defense is catching the Denver offense at a really good time for them as well. So this strikes me as one of those games that's going to come down to the last possession. I'm a huge special teams apologist. This strikes me as one of those games, as we've seen in the past between the Patriots and the Broncos, these close games come down to a big special teams play. And I wouldn't be surprised if it turned on one of those on Sunday night.
Well, we will be there, Chris and yours truly, in Sports Authority Field to bring you all the action and coverage on wtih.com. Be sure to follow us along. And I think, Chris, it's going to be a fantastic game after we've digested all of the Thanksgiving trimmings and the meal. I think it's going to be an interesting game. Is there, I'm going to ask you one more question. Is there something, a surprise element that's going to happen Sunday we didn't see coming?
Well, that's a good question. I think that the biggest thing that could be a surprise, one way or another, positively or negatively, is the performance of Brock Osweiler. Last week, he looked good against Chicago. They limited things for him. If maybe they open up the playbook a little bit and he's able to continue to pick up on some things, maybe he does a little bit more. But I think the guy with the biggest potential for boom bust on Sunday night is probably Brock Osweiler.
Well, again, we will have all the coverage on wtih.com. I can't wait, Chris. It's a game we've been looking forward to all season long. The 10-0 Patriots going out to Mile High to take on the 8-2 Denver Broncos, a game that will obviously have ramifications for playoff seedings when we get to January. Inside Gillette Stadium, he is Christopher Price. I'm Mike Petraglia, wtih.com.